absolutely thrilled this morning to be introducing our opening plenary, Empowering Legal Teams by Harnessing the Energy of Success. Today's speaker is Rebecca Ahmed, who is truly one of the most engaging and inspirational individuals I have ever had the pleasure of meeting and working with. Rebecca is an award-winning speaker, an author, a business consultant, and an Energy Leader Index Master Practitioner, which is an exclusive training on human energy and how we experience, express, and empower it in ourselves and others. She is also a professional certified coach from the International Coaching Federation and a dear, dear friend of mine. So welcome to NALP, Rebecca.
Good morning. You would never think you could learn business strategies from a monkey. But on January 1st, 2019, I found myself in Tulum, Mexico, ready to visit the Acamel Monkey Sanctuary. Little did I know, what started as a journey to explore nature became a pivotal moment that unveiled an unforgettable surprise, one that I now share with audiences worldwide. You see, the Acamel Monkey Sanctuary takes in all sorts of rescues, supporting over 200 specimens from 55 different species. And as we were toured through the various enclosures, our tour guide, Oscar, shared each animal's history and origin, health updates to know, and of course, how the sanctuary came to be, ultimately leading us to the highlight of our visit, the Monkey Sanctuary. Now, Oscar warned us we were about to see some highly unusual behavior. Spider monkeys were standing on two hind legs like humans, walking around. As we continued around their enclosure, some of them started to pretend drinking cups of coffee. What is going on? And as we finished around this cage, there were even some of them putting on lipstick. Now, Oscar laughed as we gasped, looking for some sort of reasonable explanation. Finally, he gave us the tea. Just a few years earlier, the sanctuary had received a female monkey from a traveling circus. Mimi had been taught how to perform human activities to energize her audiences. I know, she learned how to stand on two legs, walk on two legs, drink cups of coffee like a human, and even put on lipstick. Now, when she arrived at the sanctuary, the caretakers did not want to introduce her to her own kind. They didn't even want her near that spider monkey cage. What if she were shunned for her unmonkey-like behavior? Oh my goodness. What if she endangered their entire ecosystem? They were honestly fraught with fear and uncertainty. But finally, you know what? One of them decided we got to test this enclosure. And so we're going to introduce Mimi to the rest of the monkeys. And they hoped that the rest of the monkeys would teach Mimi how to perform like a monkey. And they presumed that to be correct. But to their surprise and delight, Mimi taught all of the other monkeys her circus acts. And that's what we were seeing right before our eyes. Now, I laughed with the other tourists, but it got me thinking, what if the sanctuary never introduced Mimi to the rest of the spider monkeys? Suppose they had stuck to their traditional views of monkey-like behavior. They might have missed the opportunity to experience her ability to really enhance the dynamic of the group, which ultimately led to the sanctuary's notoriety and success. Initially, they believed that isolating Mimi until she conformed was the safest strategy. Thankfully, they realized that the real misstep was underestimating the value of her differences and the energy those differences bring. by shifting their perspective to embrace Mimi's diversity. They not only transformed the entire sanctuary, but they tapped into new sources of energy, a challenge that many organizations face today. Think about it. How does your company or your school respond to change management? Are you met with enthusiasm and excitement? Or do you experience pushback and resilience? In preparations for today's conference, I had the pleasure of connecting with many of you, from law schools to law firms and various corporations. And in compiling your insights, I took away 3 key takeaways. How familiar do these questions sound? How can we innovate our approach in an increasingly competitive market? What are companies doing to ensure that client expectations align with their people's core values? We're looking for a bit more profit, strategy, finance. What you got? Yet when you try to brainstorm or even provide solutions, you're met with institutional bananas that sound like this. Whoa, whoa, whoa! While our firm wants to be innovative, remember, we're quite traditional here. Yeah. We hear you, Gen Z. I know you really care about your values. We'll add it to the list. Item number 57. Congratulations, your project has been greenlit. Just make sure it's resourced within, your current budget of $0. Professional development is constantly asked to reinvent, to innovate, and to adapt in an ever-evolving landscape. Yet too often, you're caught in a catch-22. People clinging to familiar assumptions or feeling too bogged down by their current workload to actually implement anything they ask for. This energy creates a cycle where the desire for evolution is completely pulled down by the demands of the present. Yet you all know, if your company, if your school, or if your program doesn't advance, the risk of falling behind and facing significant setback is just too high. This is why it is so important that you break free from this cycle and prioritize energizing the future of your workplace to build sustainable business solutions. And guess what? Creating more energy is simple as shifting your perspective. Remember Mimi and the Acapulco Monkey Sanctuary? How she rewired its dynamic and inspired others to follow? Her approach was a bit unconventional, I get it. But it worked. It ended up inspiring people. And this is what you can do too, bringing that inspiration forward. Now, creating more energy in your teams, in your company, and even within yourself is no small feat. Humans, like monkeys, are hardwired to resist change. But increasing the energy in your teams and in yourself can create a powerful force of transformation. It can inspire people to follow your vision. It can motivate people to support you. And it can even lift you up out of a slump. And guess what? If a monkey can do it, so can you. Yeah, I see that. So you've heard me say the word energy quite a few times today. And we often have a hard time coming up with a single definition when it comes to the word energy. Yeah. In fact, if I had you all write down a definition, I'd probably get a plethora. So let's take a moment and flush these out, shall we? Scientists define energy as the ability to do work. And we're all familiar with various types: chemical, light, heat. But these types can be broken out into 2 forms. You have kinetic energy, which is working energy. And you have potential energy, which is stored. And the beautiful thing about energy is that it's convertible. So you can use the same principles that scientists use to better understand your own personal energy. For example, when you walk into a restaurant, or even when you walked into this conference room, y'all assessed how comfortable you felt based on the ambiance and the atmosphere, whether it was the energy of the collective at your table or the entire room. And we all know what it's like to walk into a room and experience someone's negative energy. You're like, whoa, get away from me. But if someone's coming in hot with excitement, they can light up a room. You might call it a vibe. You might call it a zeal. But the truth is, before you even say a word, your energy is transmitting messages all around you. And the way you feel about yourself becomes part of the messages you transmit. So, how do you gain control of what you transmit? To start, you must understand that the energy you put out into this world is based on the way you see things. And the way you see things is forged by your biology, your biography, and your beliefs. To bring this to life, I have placed a pair of glasses at your table in front of you, and I'd like you to place those glasses on. I know everyone's been having a lot of fun with these, so feel free to take a picture, hashtag NALP. Let's get those glasses on. I love it. Awesome. Okay, great. Now, if you are wearing red-colored glasses, what color are you seeing the world through? Do I hear red? Red? Okay, perfect. And if you are wearing blue-colored glasses, what color are you seeing the world through? Blue, yes. The lens through which you view the world tints everything that you perceive. Therefore, if you are wearing, let's say, green-colored glasses I see over here, if I define green as positive, you will experience the world through a lens of positivity, causing you to experience positive energy. But if you are wearing, let's say, orange glasses, and I define orange as negative, you will experience the world through a lens of negative energy, causing you to experience negativity. Now, we're all familiar with positive energy and negative energy, but the effects are constructive versus destructive. I actually like to compare our personal energy to our cell phones because we are so closely connected with them. In fact, bring your cell phones out. It's probably the only time a keynote's going to tell you to actually do that, but let's bring them out because it really works with this analogy, and we're going to use them again later. So let's see those cell phones. Let me see them pop up for a second so I make sure you have them. Okay, perfect. Great. When your cell phone is 100% charged, it can do anything. You can take pictures. You can edit pictures. You can use your navigation. You can use your apps. Essentially, it operates at 100%. We humans are the same. When you are well-fed, well-slept, recharged, taking care of your mental and physical health, you can do anything. And this is because your energy is constantly growing and expanding and constructive. Destructive energy has the opposite effect. It pulls from that stored energy. Just like when you unplug your phone from a charger, you'll notice that your battery will start to decrease. And certain things might pull more energy than others. You use your navigation, drains your battery. If you got a kid and you give them your phone and they play the games, drains your battery. If you continue to use your phone throughout the day and your phone, the battery keeps going down, you'll start to notice certain apps just won't stop working. They start bugging out, right? You don't have enough charge. Your light starts to dim. And if you continue to not charge your phone, we all know that notification. Low power mode. Low back, low back, low back. Because if you don't plug your phone in, it will no longer work. We humans are the same. And unfortunately, we're operating on low bat, especially the legal industry, just based on the stressful nature of the business. We're operating on low bat, which enhances our emotional reaction to stress, causing us to experience destructive energy in our thoughts, in our emotions, and in our actions, making work 3 times harder, tired, and frustrating. So let's see how this destructive energy really manifests in our personal and professional lives. My dad? He has no idea this is what I do for a living. None whatsoever. So much so, he tells people I am an accountant. Yeah. Why? Because my dad believes, Rebecca, there are only 3 jobs worth pursuing in the United States of America. You see, he immigrated from Pakistan in the 1970s. He is 5'4" on a tall day, and he has the most beautiful, thick Pakistani accent that I absolutely love and cherish. And he speaks to his children the way he speaks to his patients. He is wise, his energy is calm, he is the guru, and we shall listen. So when I asked my dad, Dad, what should I be when I grow up? Here's what he said. Rebecca, you are the oldest of all of the children. You would follow in my footsteps, and you would become a doctor. Americans, they value their health, and Americans value their money. So you know what? Take care of their health and take their money. Y'all, I was 16. I was like, Dad, I can't even get my blood drawn without passing out. How am I supposed to help patients? What else you got? Rebecca, this country is very, very litigious. You saw what your mother did to me in that divorce. She took me to the cleaners. Whew. Yes, become an attorney and protect my assets from your mama. Y'all, I was like, Dad, PTSD, whoa. I just don't have that competitive energy in me. I love to love. I was like, what else you got, Dad? Congratulations, Rebecca. You're an accountant. You will know how to make that money, and you will know how to manage that money. It is settled. Y'all, I'm not an accountant. But to make my dad proud, I did genuinely try to explore each of the paths he outlined. But despite my best efforts, it was quite clear I wasn't cut out for any of them. They just didn't align with what energized me and brought me my passion and my purpose. And thankfully, even though my dad has no idea what I do for a living, he supported my choice to build a successful career in human resources, which has led me to where I am now, speaking to you, helping companies build a motivational workplace culture so that you can transform the energy and the enthusiasm of your teams. But that doesn't mean that the little voices in my head didn't show up to tell me where I was falling short. I've named them Negative Nancy and Queen Bee, and they sound a little like this. Rebecca, you're an idiot. You'll never make as much money as your father. Oh. Feel familiar? Sound familiar? These little voices are the internal voices in our head, and they are the predominant causes of our internal stress. And as they echo through your mind, they create these feelings that weigh you down, making it difficult to cope. So as a coping mechanism, you start to internalize these feelings. You try to shut it down. But when it comes back up, because these feelings always do, they come up in the form of avoidance, fear, and self-doubt. What is avoidance, fear, and self-doubt? These are limiting beliefs. These are those little voices in your head that some call their inner critic or their gremlin. And these voices tell you, you can't do this. You're not good enough. You're not worthy. And these voices come from the most destructive energy a person can experience. When someone is caught in this energy, they feel as life is happening to them and they're just watching it go by, versus feeling in control of their emotions and their choices and their actions. And these little voices in your head, they start to evolve. And they evolve into stories that you start to make true. And then you start to seek them out because you make them true. You look for them, you find them. You start to internalize. What happens when you have nowhere else to put all of this baggage? Blah. Look around the room now. When you're done beating yourself up, where do you go? You start looking at each other. Yeah, you start taking this energy external and you start looking to go after each other. The second way that destructive energy manifests us in our personal and in our professional lives is through judgments and assumptions. What are judgments and assumptions? They're a bias. And we're all familiar with the term bias. Bias traditionally refers to the explicit and implicit views we have about certain groups of people. We also see our own biases come up in how we evaluate a situation. Is it an opportunity or a challenge? And whether conscious or unconscious, our biases impact our thoughts, they impact our emotions, and they impact our actions because they stem from years of our experiences, our upbringing, access to information, which is of course further perpetuated through your social and cultural environments. What do you notice about yourself when I say the word bias? Yeah, you have a bias against bias, right? We all have them. The problem isn't having a bias. The problem is when you project that bias onto others, depleting their energy, the energy of your teams, and the energy of your organizations. And these biases have a measurable effect on our workplace. For example, according to the American Bar Association and an ALM 2023 survey, 67% of female attorneys reported that they didn't feel they had access to business opportunities, compared to 10% of men. 53% of female attorneys said that they believed they were either overlooked or denied access to an advancement, compared to only 7% of men. And according to NALP's very own 2023 Diversity Report on U.S. law firms, after 5 years of consecutive year-over-year growth, summer associates representation of color decreased for the first time since 2017. I don't share these stats with you to place blame. I share them with you because I want to genuinely understand what's coming up for you. What are you thinking? What are you feeling? Are you creating a list in your head why these inequities exist? Or do you not care? Are you looking around the room for someone else to blame? Because no one has stood up so far and said, Rebecca, that's on me. I'll take that. I'll take that one. No. Our ego naturally jumps in to defend us, which is a perfect example of attribution bias, leading us to believe our own actions as quite positive, but looking at everyone else a bit more critically. Recognizing these biases is key to growth. The first step in shifting from destructive to constructive energy, where you actually impact the statistics that I just shared, is by recognizing the biases we have around them so that we can reframe our approach. Whether you internalize your stress or project it upon others, the effects are the same. Limiting beliefs, judgments, and assumptions leave our energy both drained, mentally and physically. And the accumulation of this negativity leaves us, our teams, and the businesses we support feel completely disconnected from our shared values and our shared goals. And if this negativity continues to increase, it fosters an environment ripe for burnout. And we're all familiar with that term because burnout manifests in us when you are experiencing extensive and prolonged stress. I highlight extensive and prolonged because you can have a project and it can cause a lot of stress. We've all been there. But you can see the end of that project in sight. When someone is experiencing burnout, there is no end in sight to that destructive energy. It's as if they can't take those burnout glasses off. Yeah. And burnout, that leads to a detachment from work, a severe decrease in motivation and engagement, and it can even lead to depression. And even though burnout is not a medical diagnosis, we all know that this impacts not only the well-being of that individual, but it impacts every single person in your organization. Question for you. How often do you notice yourself going home absolutely exhausted? Do you notice your team's getting more and more irritable? They're just shorter by the second. And is your company in reactive mode, consistently looking to put out fires? As you assess the levels of burnout within your own companies, it is important for you to reflect on these questions because the legal industry is grappling with some of the highest levels of burnout. Bloomberg Law Workload and Hours Survey revealed that between 44 and 52% of attorneys report feeling burnt out. And based on your roles, you know that that just doesn't impact the attorneys. It impacts every single person in your entire organization. So, now that we know why destructive energy exists, limiting beliefs and bias, and how that impacts us, burnout, you're probably wondering, why do we continue to operate through the lens of destructive energy, Rebecca? Like, hello, why are we doing this? 2 reasons. I'll tell you why. To start, our brain is built with a safety detector built in, stemming from the amygdala. Essentially, what your amygdala does is it tells you when you're experiencing something different. And this will differ person by person because of our different biology, biography, and beliefs. But what your brain does is it says, whoa, careful. You've never experienced this before. It might be a time to throw in a bias or throw in a limiting belief. The second reason is because we just have way too much information coming at us at any given time. I would like to call a volunteer to the stage, and I want this volunteer to be a party planner. Think streamers, think confetti, think fun. Let me get one volunteer up here. Let's see his hands. I promise you nothing scary will happen. I have a streamer cannon that I'm going to be shooting off on stage. Who's ready? Ooh, we got one. Let's go. Please give her a big round of applause. Awesome. Can you please share your name with the group?
Artavia.
Artavia. Thank you so much. And what company are you with, Artavia?
Parker, Hudson, Rainer, and Dobbs.
Okay, Parker, Hudson, Rainer, and Dobbs?
Yes.
Okay, I said that correctly. Thank you so much for coming to the stage. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop this streamer cannon over Artavia's head. And what I want her to be able to do is try to catch as many pieces of this streamer cannon as possible. Okay, are we ready? All right, I've got a little lotion on, so we gotta make sure, but we ready to go? We'll stretch it out? Okay. All right, Artavia, let's go. 1, 2, see, hold on, I might need a non-lotiony hand. We're gonna go. Oh, hold on. We're gonna flip it this way. I'm gonna use the napkin. Here we go. Okay. This is what happens when you wear a lot of lotion. Maybe. There we go. Got it. Metaphor for how much information is coming at us at any given time. Scientists believe that we are getting 11 million pieces of information at any given time. No wonder we're so frustrated and upset. We can only process 40 to 50. Thank you. Can everyone please give Artavia a much.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Please give her a round of applause for she's doing a great job. Awesome. So, information's not going to stop coming at us. We know that clearly. We have a mess up here, right? And we have limiting beliefs and bias that are still going to enter our thoughts and our minds. So how do we lead with constructive energy? Let me start by introducing you to one of my clients. We're going to call her Madison Clark today. She's a Legally Blonde lookalike from Southern California. And if you're not familiar with Legally Blonde, think Barbie goes to law school. Because Madison graduated top of her class from USC Law. But she was not a practicing attorney. She had failed the bar twice and was not going to fail again. So she pivoted, and she successfully launched and sold her own fashion business, leaving her with a nice fat check, but an even fatter question mark. What did Madison want to do next? Madison loved law. She just couldn't pass that stupid bar. She enrolled in Barbary. She failed. She supplemented with Adaptabar supplemental prep. She scored even lower. She needed a new approach. So she did what many women do when they're at the end of their rope and they want to be coddled and given direction. She called her mom. And her mom said, hire a coach. In fact, I'll get one for you. And that's how we met. Her mom introduced us. Her mom also told her, Madison, my darling, it's not your brain that's the problem. I know, I raised you. You'll figure it out. What's the first question I asked Madison when we met? What's your story? As a coach, I ask all of my clients this because when you understand someone's story, you understand the patterns, the beliefs, and the experiences that shape who they are so that you can build a meaningful relationship. Madison's story, as I predicted, was that she was a failure and that she couldn't pass the State Bar of California. She also believed that her dream of becoming an attorney was out of reach. That's what she saw. That's not what I saw. I saw the facts, not the limiting beliefs that were clouding her vision. This is such an important reminder of how powerful our limiting beliefs can be and how much we can make them feel like unshakable truths. What were the facts? Madison failed the State Bar of California, not once, but twice. She also was a top performer at USC Law. And fact number 3, she was not a failure. During our course together, we started to unpack the limiting beliefs that were holding Madison back. Fear started to shift into curiosity. Dread actually started to feel like excitement. And challenges started to present themselves as opportunities. Flashcard by flashcard, Madison's perspective shifted from one of pain to one of gain. And as soon as she took off that jacket of limiting beliefs, she was able to write her own story, and she passed that State Bar of California and accepted an in-house counsel job at her father's construction company. Madison didn't just reach a career milestone, though. She built a mindset that would support her for life. When you distinctly separate facts from the stories you create, it's easy to see how fictitious we all can be. The principle of detachment empowers you to detach from your limiting beliefs. You don't gotta rock a jacket of destructive energy either. It don't look good on you, it doesn't serve you. By detaching from your limiting beliefs, you too, like Madison, can learn to approach any goal with any energy you desire. A year later, Madison was excelling in her role. The company was growing, and it was clear they needed a people leader to build out various HR functions. And Madison was the perfect fit. And this time, she didn't have any limiting beliefs to hold her back from seizing the opportunity. She took to Zoom, she flew to construction sites, and she met with as many people as possible. she quickly became the go-to. Every connection, every problem solved, every operational enhancement fueled her energy. But at the end of the day, Madison was completely drained. Maybe some of you can relate. Have you ever poured yourself into something you're super passionate about, only to wonder why at the end of the day you're absolutely exhausted? Yeah, I see some heads nodding. Yeah. This is a classic example of what happens when you lead with service at times. The energy you gain from your service can also be depleted. The genuine emotions that Madison feels when she connects with others is compassion, and it's thoughtfulness. And in her role, like many of yours, she is an expert in understanding her surroundings, observing, listening, many times anticipating her clients' needs. And she defines her success when she is able to assist with challenges and provide solutions, making her an amazing motivator and advisor. So once again, why was she so drained? What happens when you give out all of your energy but don't recharge your own battery? Remember our analogy to our cell phones? The service you provide that naturally boosts your energy and gives you joy and enthusiasm can quickly shift your perspective. Rather than feeling resourceful, you start to feel used and depleted, and that leaves you drained and frustrated at the end of the day. Madison knew she needed another approach. This hamster wheel effect of feeling high at the beginning of the day only to crash and burn and to do it all over again was not supporting her energetic needs. She needed a sustainable shift to once again shift her energy. But this time, though, she didn't call her mom, she called me direct. How can those who lead with service continue to do what you love to do most? You gotta learn how to prioritize your energetic needs. In working with Madison, she quickly identified how much energy she had at the beginning of the day. This led us to be curious. Why was she so energized in the morning but completely exhausted by noon? In reviewing her schedule, Madison outlined her morning routine. She really valued connecting with people, so she prioritized getting to know a person, asking them questions, being present to their needs. And so she scheduled these meetings in the morning because she wanted something to look forward to. The challenge was that Madison scheduled back-to-back meetings every 30 minutes that always ran over. Her value of connecting with people and building those meaningful relationships completely outweighed her need to be on time and on schedule. How often does this happen to you? Are you noticing that you're constantly behind schedule because you're in flow? Yeah, note that. Madison also realized she didn't schedule any time in between these meetings to process, decompress, and recharge. Now, you might need 5 minutes, you might need 10 minutes. It'll depend on every single person. But it's an important question to ask yourself. What do you need to reflect and to deliberate, especially on things as important as providing professional development advice for people, evaluating their performance, getting to know them? The energy that Madison gained in the morning was completely depleted as soon as she got behind schedule. And by noon, she was spending more time sending out apologies and rearranging her schedule than actually holding the meetings and conducting the work that she loved to do. Most nights, her schedule shifted from being scheduled to end at 6 to crashing at 9. How often does that happen to you? For Madison's first shift, what we did is we extended her meetings to 1 hour long. Now, this might seem excessive, but it allowed her to prioritize her value of wanting to connect with other people. And she shared, we might not use the full hour, but this was part of her strategy to be present and also to be on time. Now, I know what you're thinking, Rebecca, there's not enough hours in the day. Absolutely not. I personally evaluated how long it took Madison to send out those apologies and to reschedule her entire calendar. This strategy saved her time and it saved her energy. It also really improved her quality of work. She didn't realize her tendency during rushing completely skewed her perspective of the truth, and it undermined her ability to be an effective leader. So here's your homework. Take out those phones, and I want you, oh, I see it, whoop, got it. Take out your phones, and I want you to schedule a 30-minute meeting for Monday morning. Put that in your calendar, and what I want you to do is look at this through your lens of your energetic needs. How you structure your meetings, how much time you need in between is completely up to you. But I want you to make a note on your phone, and yes, I will wait. When you are ready, you can put your hand up, and I know the whole room is ready to move on. But let's get that on your calendar so it is done. Awesome. I see those hands, people getting ready, letting go. Awesome. All right, looks like most of the room is ready to go. Perfect. Great. So for Madison's second shift, she started to rearrange her schedule and see what that looked like. In doing this exercise, she realized that she had the most energy when she alternated between people interactions and project work. So we just rearranged her schedule to look a little like this. Let's say 1 hour with the candidate, people interaction. 1 hour of data analysis, project work. 1 hour with her team, people interaction. 1 hour of casework, project work. By sprinkling in these little people interactions as treats throughout her day, Madison's calendar now supported her energetic needs, and it gave her something to look forward to. And it not only shifted her own outlook, but it shifted the outlook of her team, because her renewed sense of energy and enthusiasm built this beautiful cycle of energy. So what does a treat look like for you? And how can you bake that into your schedule? Note that on that meeting when you start to look at that. For Madison's final shift, she needed to understand why she wouldn't take breaks even when she was tired. Now we all do this, right? Just like we push our phones to that last 1%. Rather than feeling guilty for needing a break, Madison needed to understand why she wouldn't take a break. Our culture often glorifies being busy as a sign of, success and hard work. But Madison needed to redefine success for her and her accomplishments and what she wanted to do. So she quantified these breaks, and she asked all of her colleagues, her team, her leaders, to provide feedback over a month's time. And she knew when she took breaks and did it and noted this. We started to evaluate this. And we had people provide feedback on her presence, her communication skills, and her overall performance. The results spoke for themselves. Once again, the numbers showed it. She was much more energized when she took breaks. And now that she was bought into taking breaks, I asked her, what brings you joy and pleasure throughout the day? She said she loves to go for walks. She loves FaceTiming with her goofy nieces and nephews. When she needed a moment to reflect, she might read a poem and just kind of focus. And a little giggle with her partner always brought her a little joy. These little jolts of joy throughout her day really got her excited, but even more importantly, they were able to continuously boost her energy so that she could provide the service that she loved providing, just like you love providing to your entire companies. By extending her meetings to what she actually needed, rearranging her calendar to support her energetic needs, and sprinkling in those little treats and jolts of joy, she was able to shift her energy from one of feeling drained and depleted to feeling balanced. And this renewed sense of energy increased her self-confidence. It increased her entire ability to drive towards her goals and feel success. So now that you've seen how to shift someone's energy on an individual basis, I'm going to conclude today's session with 5 energetic success principles that you can take not only to transform your own energy, but so that you can shift the energy of your teams and your organizations around you. All right? So I'm going to start by giving you some numbers, actually. And these numbers involve a little bit of math, but don't worry, I'm not going to have you actually do the math. Just sit back and relax, and I'll take care of the numbers for you, okay? As of January 2023, Gallup reported that 33% of US employees are actively engaged at work, and 16% are actively disengaged. This group of actively disengaged employees costs the US around $1.9 trillion a year. Each percentage point, increase or decrease, equates to around 1.6 million individuals. According to the American Bar Association population survey, there were just over 1.3 million attorneys in the US as of January 1, 2023. When I tried to mathematically correlate the population of attorneys against US Gallup workplace statistics and validate those numbers, I couldn't help but wonder, is the legal profession as disengaged as the average US worker? Well, when I polled your attorneys, they gave me the typical answer. Rebecca, it depends, but I mean, if you talk to any attorney, they're going to tell you the same thing. It depends. Thank you. Energetic success principle number 1, inspire possibility. Even if you believe that Gallup's workplace statistics numbers, even if they correlate directly or don't correlate to your world, we all know there is a significant cost to having de-energized employees in your workplace. Let's look at these numbers a bit further. If 33% are engaged and 16% are disengaged, that leaves us 51% neither actively engaged or actively disengaged. Do you believe it's possible to create an energetic shift and increase the percentage of actively engaged employees in your workplace by 1%? I believe it's possible, but I need to hear it from you. Do you all believe it's possible? Yes? Are we getting yeses? All right. When you create that possibility, and I got to hear those yeses, you open the door to creating a possibility that creates a spark in you and your teams and the companies you support. And these possibilities, they evolve into aspirations, into goals and objectives. And as soon as you open that door, you can leverage the other energetic success principles to help you build out an action plan. But it all starts with a possibility. Remember Mimi in the Acamel Monkey Sanctuary? It only took one person to believe in her integration. But the energy and the enthusiasm that occurred around that unconventional possibility is what fostered a culture of collaboration and through camaraderie. Because when teams unite around a lofty goal, they pool their talents and they pool their resources, and they can achieve extraordinary outcomes. And that shared sense of accomplishment and connection, that not only fuels individual success, but it helps build a motivational workplace culture. Energetic success principles 2 through 5 are not sequential, and they're going to be revisited again and again as your action plans continue to evolve and as you continue to create possibilities towards your milestones. Which leads me to energetic success principle number 2, practicing presence. Now, when you're at home, in your personal life, you probably all feel very comfortable practicing presence. We have a tendency to close our eyes, focus in on our energy, practice mindfulness, maybe through meditation, maybe not. You think about your thoughts, you think about your emotions, you start to center, you tune into your needs. How are you supposed to get this out to your teams and to your company? I have no idea. It's probably what's going on in your head. Because it starts with a fundamental question. To practice presence in a larger scale, you have to ask, where are we at? What is the current energy of my team and my company, and have I assessed that? If you don't know that answer, it's like having a map and not knowing where you're starting and where you want to go. And companies do this all the time. We love to jump in and help solve problems, but we might not understand all the nuances of the challenges that your people are facing. How many times do you catch yourself creating a response in your head before someone's even done talking? We do it all the time. To combat that reaction, gather quantitative data and encompass qualitative information and insights so that you can build strategies to actually address each of the concerns that your people have brought forward. And then from there, you can jump into the next energetic success principle, the principle of detachment. Now, you all probably recall facet number 1 of the principle of detachment, because in my story and in Madison's, we clearly outlined what occurred, the facts, and we started to distinguish that from what we created, stories. And you probably also remember our limiting beliefs came super strong because we believed them to be true, and we couldn't actually approach our goals with the energy and excitement we needed. But as soon as we detached from that limiting belief, we were able to do that. Facet number 2 of the principle of detachment is learning to not absorb or carry someone else's energy. Professional development is rooted in service. Many of you likely deeply connect with people, meaning you can feel their energy and you can step into their lens and see the world through their perspective. Empathy is a gift, being able to jump into someone else's experiences. But as soon as you're done empathizing with a person and providing them the service they need, you gotta learn to detach. So to practice this, when I say go, and not before, I want you to connect with a neighbor, exchange glasses with them, see the world through their lens, thank them for sharing their energy, bye Felicia to get out of there, and then raise your hand when you're ready. To recap, find a neighbor, exchange glasses, see the world through their lens, thank them, bye Felicia, put your hand up, I know you're ready, and go.
These are like the most.
This is a minor shift here.
How fun was that? So in my experience, just visualizing that removal of those glasses completely works. But you need to do what works best for you. I have a client, she loves to dance. She does a little dance every time she wants to detach. So again, do what works best for you. The final facet of the principle of detachment is learning how to let go of your own how-to. I know all of you have a vision on how you want to approach every situation and every challenge that has been presented at your door. I am the oldest of 11. Yeah, I'll let that sink in. My oldest child syndrome really kicks in. But here's the thing, we're all unique individuals. And so what works for you might not work for the person next to you. And that's okay. Because when you let go of everyone following your way or the highway, you open the door to new perspectives and ideas. And many times those can be things you didn't even consider, and they might be exactly what you need. Now, of course, share your ideas, because of course your team might really resonate with some of them. But the best way to lead and coach is to lead with questions versus answers, so that you can energize a person in finding their own energetic solutions. And this leads me to energetic success principle number 4, cultivate curiosity. When a person cultivates curiosity, they look through a lens of inquiry versus judgment. And they look at every opportunity and every situation as a way to grow and learn. But you're probably wondering, how do you start to cultivate curiosity? Like, where does that start? It starts with a growth mindset. Psychologist Carol Dweck defined this term to describe how we view our innate abilities. Those with a growth mindset believe that their abilities can be developed through hard work, dedication, and resilience, and that any challenge that comes their way is an opportunity to grow and to learn and to improve. In contrast, those with a fixed mindset believe that their skills are inherent and completely unchangeable. Cultivating curiosity allows you to take a challenge and turn it into an avenue of growth. If a solution doesn't work, ask why. If you need to build out a new action plan, lead with curiosity. Who, what, where, when, why, how. Embracing curiosity creates an energetic shift so that you can transform an obstacle into an opportunity. And that takes us to our final energetic success principle of today, leading with love and care. And I saved this one for last for a reason. Love is where you started. It's the spark that ignited you to accept your role and to follow your passions. Love is where you're going to end. It's the feeling that will accompany you when you accomplish your goals. And love is so essential to keep you engaged as you navigate challenges on your journey towards success. Love is the most important tool in your toolkit, yet often the hardest to find when you are so frustrated and exhausted. Remember those lens of destructive energy? But just like a smile can trick your brain into feeling more positive, when you leverage love to create an energetic shift, it creates a ripple effect that breaks through any destructive energy. Love and care in the workplace is essential for creating an environment that is both supportive and inclusive. And when people feel valued and they feel empowered to speak their own voice, this creates a culture of belonging and safety. And belonging and safety is what creates collaboration and innovation. Think back to the last time you had a great day at work. What do you recall? Is it your leader? Is it your colleagues? Was it the challenges you were facing or the rewards you were reaping? No matter what, it all stemmed from love. So the next time you're frustrated at work, recall that energy, bring that forward. Let that lift you up out of a slump and get you back on your horse. And guess what? This time of year is the perfect time of year to practice leading with love. We're in the holiday season. I know someone or something's about to grind your gears the next few weeks. So you can practice that right there. Yeah. By creating love in both your personal and professional lives, you empower everyone around you to thrive so that you can feel individual success and collective success. And I'm going to bring this to life with you. And we're going to start right where we started at the beginning of today. Amongst the deep, dark mangroves where Mimi's home in Tulum resides, researchers found when fireflies light up on an individual basis, their chances of survival are only 3%. But when fireflies come together and light up as a collective, they increase their chances of survival to 82%. This is an important lesson for us to learn from nature once again, the power of the collective. Throughout your life, you have been taught to distinguish yourself, separate yourself, compete, even by way of destructive energy, completely out of alignment with what you want to put out in this world. You see, what the fireflies realized is if they timed out their little sparks perfectly, it eliminated their need to compete. So not only could they feel individual success, but they would be more successful as a collective. Just like when you help out the person next to you, you not only increase their own energy or their energy, you increase your own. So let's bring this to life now. I want one person at every single table to take your phone and to put your light on, just like this. One person at every single table. Pick it up, let's see it. All right, if you're next to them, start amplifying them, baby. Let's get this going. Let's get this room lit up. If you're next to a person with a light them up. Let's amplify them. Get your phones out. Let's get this whole room lit up. And the next one. And the next one. Yes. Yes. Look around this room. Yes. Now, this is what it looks like to step into a possibility of collective success. I want you to congratulate yourself and step into that possibility. Thank you so much.
Rebecca, thank you so much for a fantastic opening plenary. So exciting to have so much energy in the room. It's great to see everybody. I'm Mary Beal with NALP, and we're just so happy you're here. Of course, I have a couple of announcements to make.